Today, we're not just going to learn about history, we're going to learn how to do history. We're pulling back the curtain to see how historians really think and how they interrogate evidence to unlock the secrets of the past. So let's start with a pretty provocative idea, something that guides basically every historian. Now, it might sound a little harsh, but it gets right to the heart of their mission, finding the truth no matter where it's hiding. For a historian, the investigation doesn't just stop because someone's story has. And that kind of raises a great question, right? Why this obsession with every little detail? Why not just read a quick summary and, call it a day? Well, it's because understanding the past isn't just about knowing what happened. It's about understanding the actual people it happened to. This is why you should think of historians as basically detectives of the past. Their whole mission is to piece together what people thought, what they felt, what they said, and what they did. And to do that, they have to examine every single piece of evidence they can get their hands on, leaving no stone unturned to get to the real human story. And when we say everything, we really do mean everything. We're talking about their most private diaries and journals, their personal mail, even their health and school records. Who were their friends? Who were their enemies? Who did they love? Who did they hate? And what were their absolute biggest fears? In the quest for understanding, nothing is off limits. So this is a really crucial point, the difference between just reading something and actively interrogating it. A historian doesn't just skim for info. No way. They examine every word, every name, every single date. Think of it less like reading a book and more like questioning a key suspect in a police interrogation. It's that active, it's that intense. So why all the intensity? Well, because the people who created these documents, they were human. Just like us, they weren't perfect. They lied, they exaggerated to make themselves look better, they minimized their own faults and insulted people who probably didn't deserve it. Our job is to see past all that noise to find out what was really going on. Now, to do this kind of detective work, you can't just go in blind. Historians use a very specific toolkit, so let's open it up and look at the 5 critical lenses they use to analyze every single piece of evidence that comes across their desk. Here it is. This is your analytical framework. Think of it like a mental map. It's all about making connections between different bits of evidence so you can start to answer those bigger questions. Let's break down each part of this framework. First up, values. This is where you ask, okay, what makes this piece of evidence strong? What makes it useful? Is it a firsthand account from someone who was actually there? A reliable witness? Does it give you specific, juicy details that help answer a key question? Finding these values is like finding your strongest clues. But, and this is just as important, you have to look for the limitations. See, no single piece of evidence ever tells the whole story. So you have to ask yourself, what are its weaknesses? Whose perspective is totally missing here? And maybe most importantly, what does this document not tell us? Sometimes the empty spaces, the things left unsaid, are just as revealing as the words on the page. Next, we look for corroborations and contradictions. History is really a conversation happening between different sources. So, does this new document confirm a story we heard from another case of evidence? Or, and this is often where it gets really exciting, does it completely contradict it? That's when the detective work really heats up. As you gather all these clues, you've got to fit them together. That's where enhances understanding comes in. A historian is always asking, how does this little detail add a new layer to the story? Does it completely change my understanding of the bigger picture? It's like building a giant, complex puzzle, one piece at a time. And finally, we have one of the most important tools in the whole kit. A great piece of evidence doesn't just give you answers, it actually raises new, unexpected questions. Historians are always looking for how a source can open up a whole new path of inquiry. That's where the real discovery happens. So that's the historian's toolkit. But history isn't a solo mission. It's usually a team sport. It's a collaborative effort. So let's take a look at how a group of researchers might work together to interrogate evidence as a team. Okay, here's a pretty common 4-step process for this kind of group work. First, you analyze the document alone, quietly. This lets your own ideas form without any outside influence. Second, you discuss what you found as a group, comparing notes. Third, you decide together what insights you want to add as commentary. And finally, to make sure everyone sees everything, your team will rotate to the next document station. This slide shows you the flow of that whole process. You can see the different teams, each with their own focus. The key principle here is super simple. The scholars, that's you guys, move between the stations, while the evidence itself stays put. This model makes sure that every single person gets to analyze every document, bringing a fresh perspective each and every time. And this is where the collaboration becomes really, really powerful. As your team gets to a new document, you'll see the notes and the analysis from the teams that were there before you. So after you do your own fresh analysis, you can then compare your findings with theirs. This method lets the insights build on top of each other layer by layer, with each group getting you closer to a deeper collective understanding. So what's the end result of a process like this? Well, you take a few simple pages of text and you transform them into this rich, complex web of discovery, just buzzing with connections, questions, and insights. I mean, the difference is just striking. Look at this. On the left, you've got a clean document. It's just text on a page. But on the right, you have a fully interrogated document, alive with notes, highlights, and questions. This is the goal. This is what historical analysis is all about, bringing the evidence to life. Because this right here, this is the ultimate goal for any historian. To work together, to use this analytical toolkit, to interrogate every last detail, and to finally piece together what's really going on in the story of the past. The evidence of the past is all around us, just waiting to be found. The question is, and always will be, what story will you uncover?